Will the San Francisco 49ers bounce back against the Vikings? That's the question we are going to answer on today's live. And we are going to get into it all right now. But you already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat, smash that like button, and let's cook. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down, Sourdough Squad? Good to see you guys in here. A bit of a programming note. Because obviously, as you can tell, we did not have State of the Franchise today with Jason Aponte, which we do every Wednesday. We are pushing to tomorrow. So stay tuned. State of the Franchise tomorrow, same time, 1:45 Pacific Standard Time with Aponte. We're going to do that tomorrow. But the question is because obviously, after a loss like the 49ers had against the Cleveland Browns, we've watched the tape. We did offense. We did defense. We've talked about it enough. I'm ready to put that game behind me. I'm ready to put all the talking behind. It's time to focus on the Vikings. And honestly, this feels like the perfect timing for a loss like this, right? A team you should have beat, a game you should have won, regardless of how poorly they played down the stretch at the end. And we've been riding kind of high. We've been a little fat and sassy. I'm not gonna lie. Players, fan base, myself included, been enjoying it. I've been talking a lot of trash, because that's what happens. You win football games. This is not pre-recorded, people. You win football games, and you win a lot of them. And then you go 5-0. And you get to that point. Oh, we're talking. We're talking. We're chirping. We're making memes. We got the shirts. That's what happens. You're at the top. You get to talk. You get to gloat. You get to pull receipts. You get to do all that type of stuff. So we've been doing that. And it feels like this loss against the Browns, how we lost, their response to our loss, I mean, all of it. It just feels like it was the kick in the rear that we needed to kind of refocus. And again, I say we, fan base, the fans are going to fan, whatever. Fans are going to do whatever they want. But inside that locker room, I feel like it was a reality check. You know what I mean? Like, we know just because the 49ers lost to the Browns doesn't mean they got exposed. It doesn't mean they're pretenders. Doesn't mean like they fell back to earth. With how poorly they played, they still should have won that game. What I think this does is, we've been in the media quite a bit the last 2 weeks. Obviously, the George Kittle shirt thing took over. Now we got the Deebo Samuel beef. There's a lot of noise. Micah Parsons is on his podcast talking about the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of people are talking about us. A lot of people trying to poke at us. A lot of people trying to rile us up, trying to get us to respond damn near at this point, trying to get us unfocused, and it's an interesting world that we live in today, right? Because of social media, player podcasts in season, which is one of my favorite developments of new media, because we get to hear from Micah Parsons every Monday talk about the San Francisco 49ers. And it's like more fuel to the fire. We get to hear Deebo Samuel on Up and Adams every week. We get to hear from Steve Young on KMBR with Kyle Shanahan and John. Like we are in the mix. We hear from everyone now, and we're clipping it, we're reposting it, we're reacting to it, we're talking about it. So everything is super reactive in today's media world. We're reacting like we reacted today to Debo and CJ, and we also reacted to Micah. That's basically what content looks like today. Is everyone just reacting to each other? Well, he said this. Well, this guy said that. Well, I kept this receipt. I kept that receipt. We're just reacting, right? But everyone was reacting to the 49ers being as good as they were. Top of the power rankings, Brock Purdy, CMC, frontrunners for MVP, Fred Warner, defensive player of the year category. I mean, we were right and high, right? So we fall. We fall to the Browns. They do the boombox entrance. They troll us with that. They I consider it a troll. Marquise Goodwin doing the backflip out of the victory formation, which started with the San Francisco 49ers. Whatever. It's fine. I respect a good troll. They won. I can't say nothing, right? They won. But I think that in of itself, I can imagine how I feel as a fan, as someone who covers the team, who reacts to all this type of stuff. I could imagine that these players are like, you know, got a little piece of humble pie. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like just kind of recheck the system, kind of like wake up. Like you aren't what's the word I'm looking for? You aren't invincible. Fair? Because it was feeling like we were pretty invincible there for a second. Just dropped 42 on the Cowboys' head in 3 quarters. Embarrassed the crap out of the Dallas Cowboys on national television across the entire world to see. Right and high, right? Feeling invincible. Just a reminder that when you're not on top of your game, when you don't execute, anyone can get you. And I think we needed that at about week 6. That if you aren't going to play your brand of ball, you aren't going to execute to the level that you know how to execute, you can get got by anyone. That's why we say any given Sunday. And that's what last week was. So we have another one of those coming up. It's the Vikings. Vikings haven't been playing well. No Justin Jefferson, no Marcus Davenport. They're hurt. Their quarterback, Kirk Cousins, isn't playing well. They're about this close from blowing the whole thing up and doing a retool rebuild. Well, we can't take anyone lightly. And if last week was not the perfect example of that, and we talked about it all week, I put respect on PJ Walker's name. I've talked about it all throughout the week. I like PJ Walker. I do. I thought he was more than capable of playing a decent game against the 49ers, and he did. He played well enough on top of their O-line, on top of their D-line, on top of everything. They played well enough that they put themselves, and shout out to the refs. They played well enough as well. But ultimately, it's not the refs' fault. I would love to say it was the refs' fault. I would love to say it's the refs' fault for stealing a touchdown from the San Francisco 49ers. I would love to say it's the refs' fault for the blatant clean hit that Gibson had on Elijah Moore. I would love to say that it's the refs' fault for a ticky-tack holding penalty on Mooney Ward. I would love to say it's their fault. But at the end of the day, it's our fault. It's the boys. It's our guys. And there's nothing wrong with that. This game is built on adversity. This game is built on error. It's built on overcoming those things, and they were this close. In a game where they were struggling all the way through, the refs were against them, they still put themselves in position to win this football game. That's why, as much as I would love to say these refs suck, which they did, and it's ultimately their fault, I just can't. I just can't, because we missed the opportunity. We set up the opportunity, we missed it. That's on us. Clear as day. So, how do we take that into next week? How do we ensure next week that this doesn't happen again? I really hope that we see this team ready to go against the Vikings. No mercy style, like no mercy. I want to see them go crazy against the Vikings in regards, and not like run up the score and be hyphy like that. No, I'm talking about laser focus, laser execution, just everything from a game plan standpoint, from an execution standpoint, looking like a well-oiled machine. I want to see that level of focus against this team, against the Vikings, who the 49ers should absolutely beat. But just to again reiterate that they are ready to go. They are focused. They had a step back against the Browns, and they're able to recoup and rebound and bounce back against the Vikings. I really think that's what needs to happen here. And I think they will. I do. Based on, again, we've listened to Fred Warner's podcast. Fred Warner was talking about that, the vibes in the locker room after that, and just like how it was like a gut check to be like, man, we haven't lost in a long time, because they haven't lost all year. They haven't lost all year. And just like what that feeling was like again, to be like, damn, we lost that. And they had the opportunity to win it, but they lost it. So I think they bounce back. I absolutely think they bounce back against the Vikings. I really do. If they put up back-to-back clunkers, that's when I think we start to kind of like, well, what's really happening here? I don't expect that to be the case. I don't expect to see back-to-back clunkers. I get it. It's on the road. But this is a 5:00, whatever the primetime kickoffs are for Monday Night Football. They're going to have time to get ready. I talked about this being a trap game. One of the number one key factors, in my opinion, of a trap game is East Coast 10 a.m. start time. It's just, I don't know what it is. 10 a.m. start times in different time zones seem to just be challenging for the San Francisco 49ers. And it happens from time to time. So I account for a trap game, a minimum one trap game every time I do my my schedule predictions at the beginning of the year. I think I even called this game the trap game on my schedule prediction because of the 10 a.m. start time in a different time zone. So, but it became even more of a trap game because they were without their starting quarterback and they were without their starting running back. So that changes things immensely. But that is not a reason. We've seen it a lot with the San Francisco 49ers over the last couple years. Every time we face a team that is dealing with injury concerns, they seem to play us very well. I feel like we've come on here, we've done these shows. We're like, oh, they're missing half their starting offensive line. Bosa's going to feast, 0 sacks. Oh, they're missing their starting quarterback. We're going to boat race them. We get boat raced by Colt McCoy and the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know what it is. I'm starting to see a trend here that's lasted over a couple years. Whenever they are down whenever the opponent is down some big time weapons, someone steps up. It seems to be like every single time against the San Francisco 49ers. So just so you guys know, from this point moving on, if there's an injury to the other team, it means nothing to me anymore. It means nothing to me anymore. I'm treating them all the same. I'm treating them all the dang same because clearly nothing has changed. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. And all that good stuff. But I do think they bounce back. And I think the 49ers take care of business, and they are a well-oiled machine against the Vikings. They better be. Gotta be. We need it. We need it right now. And feel free to drop your questions in. This is pretty loose. This is pretty loose live. So you guys want to drop questions in, contribute, steer us in the direction of what we're going to talk about today. Feel free to drop your questions. I'll try to get to as many as I can here today. I like this one. What do you think our weakness is? Feel free to also contribute in the chat if you want to answer these questions as well, because I think we're all kind of on the same page with what we would determine our weaknesses are. So we might rank them differently. I will agree with that. I think we might rank our weaknesses differently, but I'll tell you what they are, and then we'll rank them. So with the San Francisco 49ers, I would consider defensive end, pass rush, pass rush, not defensive end run stuff. I think we have good run stuffing defensive ends. But defensive end, pass rush. I will also say, I know people are going to say cornerback and offensive line. So if we're going to be talking about weaknesses, that's where it comes down to. It comes down to, I'm going to still say pass rush. I'm going to say cornerback right now and offensive line, right? Two of those things involve the line of scrimmage. And when you look at last week, what was one of the defining situations with kind of contributing to that loss was the 49ers lost the line of scrimmage, right? I would say so. They lost the line of scrimmage. And specifically, they lost the run. They lost that run game ability where they normally match up really well. So I don't know if that just reminds us that we miss Dre Greenlaw a lot. But Oren Burks did relatively well. He saved the touchdown on that big Amari Cooper play. I thought Oren Burks played well. I didn't think he played perfect. He did have a miss or two, but if I had to grade Oren Burks, I'd give him a solid B. I thought Burks gave us a B. Thought he did a good job. But when Dre Greenlaw's in, it's an A+++. Like Dre is playing at an all-pro level, and I think this game not having him kind of showed how well Dre is playing, because that's been one of my biggest takeaways of watching the defensive tape the last 2 weeks prior to the Browns was Dre was all over the field. Dre Greenlaw has been one of your defense's leading tacklers all the way throughout. So I think this game puts a spotlight on how well Dre Greenlaw is playing. And yeah, we miss him when he's not out there because Dre is phenomenal. He's all over the field. He tackles everything. He is so fast. His sideline to sideline speed is insane. Probably, I would say he's probably the fastest in the NFL. I mean, we know Fred can move too, but something about Dre's sideline to sideline speed is just a half a step quicker. So we should get Dre back this week. That's not a problem. But when I'm watching the tape, man, I still like it's going to lead us into some other topics here too. But if I had to rank it, I think pass rush is still one of our biggest concerns right now. Omenihu was active for us last year. Omenihu created a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. He didn't record a ton of sacks, but he did record a ton of pressures. He was constantly around the quarterback. And that helped guys like Nick Bosa. Now, Javon Hargrave is phenomenal. I cannot have one singular complaint about Javon Hargrave. Phenomenal. He is instantly our best interior defensive lineman. He is phenomenal. He saved us a touchdown, basically, on the Njoku screen that went for a touchdown because this guy couldn't contain him and held him. And that ultimately actually saved the 49ers a touchdown because I don't think Hargrave was going to make a play anyways. But because he beat him so quickly, the O-line had to hold him, and they called the flag, saved them a touchdown. Hargrave is all over the place. Eric Armstead, I don't mind Eric Armstead. I know a lot of people have a problem with Eric Armstead because how much he gets paid and how much he produces. Eric produces in a very nuanced way. He fills gaps. He puts himself in the right spot more often than not, which forces running backs to bounce out. Like I can think of one play where Randy Gregory did a phenomenal job setting the edge against DeJuan Jones. He set the edge against DeJuan Jones. Eric went from A gap to B gap, and he did it matching the running back, and it forced the running back to bounce out, and Randy Gregory made the tackle. Now, it looks like Randy Gregory, phenomenal play, good job. It was a great job by Randy Gregory, but because Eric Armstead was where he needed to be and playing gap integrity, having phenomenal gap integrity, it forced the running back out where they wanted to run, and as a result, basically fed the running back right to Randy Gregory. So, and I see the pressures. I'm fine with Eric. I know a lot of people have a problem with Eric. I'm fine with Eric. Those guys on the interior could be even better. And I'm also fine with Cleveland. I think Cleveland's great. I love Cleveland as a base down edge. Playing the edge, setting the tone as a run defender. I love Cleveland in that role. I don't I like Cleveland as a pass rusher. I don't love Cleveland as a pass rusher. I think he's capable, but I need something on the other side. And maybe it could be Randy Gregory with more practice reps, with more acclimation to the wide nine, all these different things. You know, he's going from outside linebacker to wide nine defensive end, hand in the dirt. So maybe there's an acclimation period for him where he can be even better. I do like Randy Gregory. I think he's going to get a ton more snaps because they rotated against the Browns, Cleveland, Drake, and Randy Gregory pretty evenly. They were rotating those guys quite a bit. But it was there was two people who stood out in that three-man rotation. It was Cleveland Farrell against the run, and it was Randy Gregory in all things. Randy Gregory did it against the run. He did it on stunts. He did it in a multitude of different ways. I really like Drake Jackson. I do. But I think Drake Jackson could be about a year or two out from realizing his true potential. I'm not sure right now that the 49ers can rely on production from Drake Jackson. I think Drake Jackson has a ton of upside. He has a ton of raw talent, and he has a ton of ability. But just right now, we just aren't seeing it at a level where I feel comfortable in a gotta have it situation where we put Drake out there on the opposite side of Nick Bosa. I'm just not I'm just not seeing it quite yet. Doesn't mean I'm out on Drake. Doesn't mean I think anything like that. I just think he needs a little bit more time, a little bit more seasoning, gets that technical aspect up a bit. And I think Drake could definitely be a factor for us in the future. But right now is what we're talking about. We are talking about winning football games right now. That's what we need. And so we need difference makers on the edge. And like I said, Cleveland, I like him on the edge in rundowns. Randy, he could be a guy. But there's also Bosa can't play every rep. Bosa can't go out there every single time. We need some juice, in my opinion. I think we need some juice. And shout out to you guys who dropped the super chats. I'm going to get to those in 1 second. I'm going to get to that in 1 second. Appreciate the super chats. So that's why I believe 49ers need to go after edge. Edge, more edge. I know a lot of people want cornerbacks. I understand wanting quarterbacks. If you want to go get me Jalen Johnson from the Browns, I don't mind that at all. I don't think Patrick Surtain is on the table. Don't think that's going to happen. But if you want to go out and really, really, really make this defense better, it starts in the trenches. I know this. John Lynch tells you this. I mean, I got the trench warfare shirt on right now. I think pass rush on the opposite side of Nick Bosa will fix a lot of the concerns that the 49ers have in coverage. I think the coverage tweaks really come down to mixing up more man and soft zone. And I think if you have a more consistent pass rush, you got more speed, that helps change things. So the 49ers need to go get Brian Burns. It needs to happen. It needs to happen right now. No, we do not have enough pass rush with Bosa, Hargrave, Armstead, and Gregory. We do not. We need more speed off the edge. One of the key linchpins for the San Francisco 49ers success in 2019 when they went 13-3 was D Ford, and the speed off the edge presented, and that problem that it presented for opposing offenses with guys like Defoe, with Eric, and with Bosa. You need more speed. I've seen it. We got to have it. I need more speed. I need more speed up front. I need these quarterbacks. Excuse my language, pissing down their leg before the snap begins because they're absolutely terrified of the 49ers defensive front. That's what I need. Do you know how much that's going to help and aid your coverage unit? And then if you can prove that you can get to the if you can get to the quarterback in about 2.1, 2.2 seconds, then that changes how you can play coverage. Right now, they're not doing that. They're not getting there quite fast enough. I do think it's scheme related, and that's why I continue to put emphasis on the defensive line, because that's why I continue to put emphasis on pass rush. You got to get after these quarterbacks, man. That's the name of the game. John Lynch tells us that's literally what the foundation of this entire roster is built on, the defensive line. And right now, they're not generating the pressure that I think they should be generating. Who am I? Whatever. That's just my thoughts. That's just my opinions. It's based on what I see from, and I think it's comorbid. When they are tighter, they're playing tighter coverage. I think it allows them the time to get after the quarterback, but we're seeing them play a lot of off coverage, a lot of soft zones, and they're giving it to them. I think the 49ers need to go after Brian Burns. It's not like before it was fun conversation, before I enjoyed talking about it, before I didn't really think that it was like I didn't think it was like a super. I would put like 5% chance. Like if we were talking about this in the summer, I would be like 5% chance 49ers trade for Brian Burns. 5%. If you ask me right now, I'm saying 45%. They could trade for Brian Burns right now. 75%, if we're talking if they could absolutely trade for Brian Burns if they wanted to. Now, obviously, there's tons of different factors that play along with that, cost, all of that stuff. But the pathway to get it done is there. And if you are serious about getting after the quarterback, go get the fastest edge in the NFL right now. Put him on the other side of Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave, and Eric Armstead while you can rotate in Cleveland, Drake, and Randy Gregory. Now the defensive line is phenomenal. Now the defensive line is by far the best defensive line in the league. Who's stopping that defensive line? No one. And that's why you do it. That's why you pay the premium. That's why you bite the bullet, because you're trying to win a Super Bowl this year, right now. So you go and do it. You go and get them. Do it. This isn't a joke anymore. This isn't a bit or anything. The 49ers need to be serious about going after and getting Brian Burns. They already showed us by getting Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory already proved that he helped the defense. Go get Brian Burns, man. Just go get him. Go get him and unleash the dogs, man. Again, I reference it every single year. You guys want a cornerback, but remember the 49ers went 13-3 with an undrafted free agent in Emmanuel Mosley starting at cornerback. They can get after it. I'm telling you, the best friend, it's very similar. Like the best friend for an offensive lineman in pass protection is a quarterback who gets the ball out quickly. That's the best. The best friend for a cornerback in coverage is a defensive line that gets after the quarterback fast, quick. Mookie, I hope you come back, my guy. I hope when we get the Adam Schefter notification that Brian Burns has been traded to the 49ers, I hope you're the first one in the live. I hope that's the case. Lisa says, I hate Cowboys Nation. P.S. We should simulate rain and win with the Giants fans and sprinklers during practice. I think the 49ers do some kind of simulation. I don't know if they go all out with the sprinklers. I do know sometimes they do the wet. They like make the balls damp. But yeah, I mean, that was definitely an interesting situation with Brock Purdy and kind of his grip on the ball. So it was interesting. Angelo says, here's to Jordan Mason having a big game against the first team he had a big game about in the preseason last year. Shout out, Brad, to having the most reliable Niners news on the internet. Well, shout out to my guy, Angelo. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the super chat too, by the way, and the compliment. I appreciate you, my guy. And you do make a great point. I think Jordan Mason solidified his roster spot with that game, that preseason game against the Vikings. And I really like the way Jordan Mason has been running. We're still kind of wait and see period with Christian McCaffrey, if he will play, what that will look like. We're waiting and seeing, right? If CMC is going to be 100%, all that type of stuff. So we will see what that looks like. But I think we'll see a lot more Jordan Mason. I think we should. Jordan has always run well. He had that one fumble, I think, in preseason. It was weird. Mason had a fumbling problem throughout training camp, and then he had the fumble in that preseason, and I think that kind of scared Kyle a little bit from using him as much. But I don't think you got a choice. I think you got to use him. I think you have to lose him. You have to use him, and you should use him. It's a long season, man. Long season. What did I forget where I heard this or where I saw this. I think, and I could be wrong completely, but I think what I saw is that Christian McCaffrey already has 100 more touches on the year than Deebo Samuel, that's a lot of touches. He's getting the ball a lot. So we'll see. But shout out to Angelo. Appreciate your super chat. Appreciate you rocking with the channel. Appreciate you vibing. Appreciate you guys. And all that stuff. Brad, why are there random commercials during your live stream? I don't know. I clicked this button that YouTube said like it's like a monetization thing. I clicked it. I haven't I can't watch my lives. So are they super annoying? Let me know. But I will also add they do help the channel. They help me be able to survive. So, but if they are to the point where they're super annoying, I will make adjustments. Just let me know. I'm testing this new ad feature. So if it's super annoying, let me know. But just we gotta pay the electricity bill around here somewhere. YouTube Premium is a total game changer, right? Because you have no ads if you do the premium, I believe. But and I do see I do see some revenue from the premium as well, so that's helpful. But again, we got to keep the lights on around here somehow. But if they're super annoying, let me know because it's a new feature that I'm testing. So bear with me. If they're super annoying, let me know and I'll change it. Because again, I want the experience to be worthwhile. Okay. So he's been waiting. He's been waiting. It's going to happen one day, I promise, and it's going to be a glorious day when that happens. But yeah, man, it's perfect storm brewing right now with the San Francisco 49ers. We know they're the best. We know, I believe they're the best team. I do think I do think Miami deserves to be in that conversation. Miami's playing really well, obviously, with Mike McDaniels, who's running an offshoot of the Kyle Shanahan system. Obviously, he's got his own tweaks on it, and he's got a lot of talent, and they're having a lot of success. So, but I still think the 49ers have the best all around roster right now. And so losing to the Browns, a team that they shouldn't have lost to, in a game they should have won, even though they weren't playing well, I expect recalibration. But I also expect them to continue to try to add. I think the 49ers have been active at the trade deadline nearly every single year under John Lynch. They've traded for Charles Omenihu. They traded for Emmanuel Sanders. And remember how big of a trade Emmanuel Sanders ended up being, how huge that was for the San Francisco 49ers that year and that in their offense. They obviously just traded for Randy Gregory. They traded for Jordan Willis. I know I'm forgetting somebody that they traded for. It's actually making me upset. So help me out in the chat because I do think there's someone that I'm missing. But the point being is the 49ers have proven that they are going to be aggressive at the deadline. And there are a lot of teams tanking right now. And good thing for the San Francisco 49ers is that this upcoming draft class is perceived to be CMC. Duh. Who's that one guy that the 49ers traded for? Who was that one guy? It wasn't a very impactful trade now, was it? I don't think so. I think it was that's right. That's right. That guy named Christian McCaffrey. Oh. Now that is the definition of a brain fart. Yes. That guy, Christian McCaffrey. Oh, that's right. That's probably why I forgot. It flew right under the radar. It was a C- trade. That's why I forgot about it. ADHD at its finest. Yes, that guy. So the point being is the 49ers should absolutely be buyers. They should absolutely be calling every tanking team and saying, who you got? And I'm going right to the top. I'm going right to Brian Burns. That's it. Put all my Brian Burns biased aside. It actually fits what the 49ers need, in my opinion. Take all my Brian Burns agenda and throw it out the window. I really do I've watched this tape the last 3 weeks in a row and said, man, I am not impressed with this pass rush outside of Hargrave, Eric, and Bosa. For the last 3 weeks, I have not been impressed. It's not terrible, but I'm also like, we could be better. We could improve. And the one thing that you just plop into this defense and let it run, Bryant, he already knows Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks already knows him. You put him in this defense, just drop him in. You only need to rush 4. You have a quality rotation of Cleveland, Drake, and Randy. Best defensive line in football. Best defensive line in football. No questions. Best defensive line in football. They would feast. They would feast. Bozzy Man says, should we sit Debo, Trent, and CMC due to the turf situation at the Vikings stadium? It all depends on what their practice situation looks like this week, right? But I do assume that they're going to practice. I think Debo's going to play. I think Debo's going to play, and I think if Trent could play in that game, I think Trent's going to play in this game. And if you heard what Trent said, he said, I did not want to put Jalen Moore in that position to have to block um, Myles Garrett. So he came back. That same thought process will apply for the Vikings. Trent Williams knows how important he is to this team. He knows how significant of a drop off it is between him and Jalen. So he has to be available. So even if he's not 100%, he's still going to go if he can go. So I don't see Trent sitting. I don't see Debo sitting. He talked about it on Hey K podcast, I think it was. He said it felt significantly worse on game day, but throughout the week it's already gotten a lot better. So he seems to be doing okay. And CMC, as long as he's fine, I would like to see CMC on a snap count, kind of like on kind of a capped usage, so we can get Jordan Mason involved. And I think that they need to. I really do. Like, if you think about it, we know how important Christian McCaffrey is to this offense, but we also have to remember what life was like before Christian McCaffrey, because he does play running back, and there's a high likelihood that the running back's going to get hurt. So they have to remember what it's like to operate their offense without that guy, and how all the rules change and how the defense changes how they're keying, and like how you got to run your offense without him. I think that is important. Like they need to remember, like, yeah, we expect to have him for a deep playoff run, but we also can't rely on him so much that if he is out, we crumble. Like, that can't be the case either. So I agree with Glass City. I would say CMC is the most realistic to miss. I have Debo Trent playing. I have CMC TBD, and we're going to really tell by these practices for sure. And again, I think, like, for example, there's a couple plays where you could see how the grass really saved some players from tearing some ACLs or having some worse injuries than not, because their foot actually was able to give out and didn't stick in the turf. Turf just sucks, man. Turf's dangerous. I hate turf. Turf is scary. Turf is scary. Angelo says, rank your top 5 upside players throughout the season versus the inverse. I'll be at SF Seattle game later this year. Let me buy you a beer, my guy. Hit me up, man. Hit me up. I'll be there as well. Top 5 upside players internally, I'm assuming, on the San Francisco 49ers. Top 5 upside players for the San Francisco 49ers. Whoo. I mean, that's hard because we have so many top end talented players on this team. I think Randy Gregory is at the top of the list of upside. I think Randy Gregory is going to come in and show that he has a lot of upside to offer. Again, I think we need that upside, but to me, Randy Gregory doesn't mean that we don't have to keep adding to edge. But I would say at the top of the list of upside would be Gregory. Number 2 would be Jordan Mason. So I'm going Randy Gregory. I'm going Jordan Mason. I'm going to go Diamador, because I still think Diamador is getting his footing, but I still think he has a ton of upside. So I'm going to go Diamador 3. If I have to go 4, if I have to go 4, I'm going Kinlaw. I'm very impressed with Kinlaw. Very impressed with Kinlaw. And if I have to go 5, Probably Kevin Givens. I've been really impressed with both Kinlaw and Givens with the second unit. Those guys are good. They really are. Like we have a good interior defensive line with Hargrave, Eric, Givens, and Kinlaw. We're in good shape. That's why I want more speed on the edge. I want more speed on the edge, if you haven't noticed. Um, but that's where I'd have those guys ranked. Versus the inverse. I've always had Kinlaw as a high upside guy because his problem has always been injury and availability, but he's always been a high upside guy for me. I've always had a lot of belief in Kinlaw. It just all came down to being trying to think of who else that's kind of shifted. I think Burford's struggling a little bit. I would like to see Burford make it on to that top 5. I think I wanted to see Burford make a jump from year 1 to year 2. He's been better in some instances, but we still see some of those mistakes, more kind of mental mistakes than anything else. I know he has a physical upside. I just want to see the mental match with him a little bit more. And if he could get there, he could be really good. But I'm still waiting for that jump from Burford. I still feel like he's playing like he was last year, but he still has upside. And of course, the rookies and other guys like that. Maya says Certain and Gold. I don't think the Broncos are selling Certain. I think Certain is I don't think he's for sale. I don't think the 49ers are going to be able to get him. I don't think that's going to happen. So and Robbie Gold. I think it would take an absolute epic collapse over the next couple weeks of Jake Moody for the 49ers to even consider that. I know everyone's upset. I heard from Michael Silver. Michael Silver went on a KMBR and he said that the 49ers got cute by drafting Jake Moody in the 3rd. Obviously, we didn't love the idea of taking a kicker in the 3rd. And one of the main reasons I referenced is because you're putting a lot of pressure onto a rookie. And as we know, out of any position, it could be quarterback, it could be offensive line, it could be defensive line. You put a lot of pressure on a young player, they become very susceptible to cracking underneath that pressure. And there's no position that deals with pressure more than the kicker. So I'm not worried yet. Obviously, he missed 2 kicks, made one of them, missed the game winner. Don't love it, but guess what? Robbie didn't make every kick. He's just in a different period of time in his career where we know what Robbie is, and we're trying to figure out what Moody is. Robbie was perfect in the postseason, 68 of 68. So we knew when the pressure was on, he was all right. But we don't know. We don't know what Moody looks like in the playoffs. We don't know what Moody looks like with the game on the line, and it's kick it or you're out. We don't know. And that's kind of the point that Mike Silver was saying. He's like, you're a win now team. You're a Super Bowl contender. And to kind of get a guy and have him in that scenario where you just don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I hope he comes back. It's going to be a big test for Moody, right? This is his first real adversity in the NFL, and we're going to see how he responds to it. If he responds favorably, makes some nice kicks against the Vikings, and continues to get back on track, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. But it definitely hurts right now to know that we could have been 6-0 if we just made that kick. So I think it'd really take an epic collapse on his part for them to really go outside uh, of of leaning on him. I really would. He's got a long leash. I think we have to remember that he's got a long leash, and he's got to kind of go through those ups and downs and build these scars and get it out the way now. I'd rather him get it out the way now, get it out of his system now, than when we need him the most. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I hope that. Oh man, we'll see. I'm gonna stay optimistic. I'm not gonna go Debbie Downer on the kicker thing. I'm gonna stay optimistic that we will figure it out, and he'll figure it out, and we'll be fine. I'm gonna stay as optimistic as possible until I can't. That's a good question. I'm starving. What's for dinner? I don't know. I'm hungry. Ooh, I made some fire chicken last night though. I got one of my specialties that my kids like. I've got a couple things that I make that my kids are, yeah, whoa, daddy's making like. So it's like honey chicken. I call it honey chicken, but it's basically fried chicken. And then I drizzle honey on it, and it hits different. It hits different. I make my own. I use like Bisquick, but then I added all my seasonings to the Bisquick, and it's delicious. Ooh, I gotta listen to this. We need a video. Hey, if if I end up going to this Vikings game, I'll do more SF diners. If I end up going to this Monday Night Football game in Minnesota, it'd be my second time in Minnesota, right? Because you guys rolled with me last year when I went there for joint practices. If I go, we'll do more SF diners. We'll bring it back. Damn, you guys are making me hungry, man. You're making me hungry. Oh, that's right, Jason. You live out that way. You live in like Wisconsin area, don't you? He said, "Sounds like pancake chicken." The Bisquick is like the driver. We added Himalayan salt. I had the everything bagel seasoning, and there's another seasoning. I forget what it's called. I think it was like a Kinder's butter seasoning. I don't know. It was fire. Mix that up. We're not doing gas station sushi though. We're not doing that. Almost did that. We're not doing that. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if I'm going. Nothing's set in stone yet. I'm thinking about it. Quite the journey. I've made the journey before. Thinking about it. We'll see. We'll see. Monday Night Football. It screws up my whole week, though. After it screws up the whole week, right? Because then I'm traveling Tuesday. So we're not doing film breakdowns on Tuesday because I'm traveling the whole time. Yes, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Might be worth it. Can you give me some food recs when I go to that December game against the Seahawks? That last time I was there was the first football game ever versus the Broncos. How do I hit you up for some picks? You can DM me on Instagram at the SF Niners. Food recs for like depend. Yeah, you could literally get whatever you want. When you're out here, where you're coming from? Does it say where are you coming from, Angelo? This Hendrix, that's exactly what I was about to say. Angelo, have you had In-N-Out? That was exactly what that's going to be the first thing that I was going to say. It's like, have you had In-N-Out? I don't know where you're from, because if you haven't, I need to know, and I need you to report back what you think. That's number one. If you want, I know a fantastic Italian deli, phenomenal. We have all different kinds of places. Like literally, there's this place called Koja Kitchen that I freaking love. Little Asian cuisine, super fire though. Oh, you're NorCal. Okay, well, Angelo, he knows. He knows about In-N-Out. There's definitely a couple places. There's definitely a couple places around there that are fuego. If you like some Polynesian L&L Hawaiian barbecue, fire. So good. Get some spam musubi. You go to La Vix, get the orange sauce. That feels like a you have to just go if you're going to a game. Feels like you have to go to La Vix. Feels like you have to go get the orange sauce just to experience. It's like literally like one of the number one things San Jose is known for. So you go to La Vix. La Vix is good, but it's the orange sauce that changes everything. Takes it to another level. So La Victoria's is one. I know there's a million other places. I'd have to actually sit down and think about it. But can't go wrong with that orange sauce from La Vix. Woo! All right. And just so you guys know too, it's like this could be the last couple weeks that the Brian Burns agenda lives on. So I'm going to not only do I fully believe in my heart that the San Francisco 49ers should go and get Brian Burns, but I am also taking full advantage that this could be the height of the Brian Burns agenda prior to it, because if he gets traded to the Rams, the Brian Burns agenda doesn't exist anymore. So I hope that's not the case. And that's another reason why the 49ers need to trade Brian Burns. Don't let him go to the Rams. Don't let him go to the Rams. Don't let him go to the Seahawks. The whole world knows that the Rams already tried to get Brian Burns. Don't do it. Don't do it. But you will have to. Oh, you better come back. I'm keeping this receipt. You better come back when John Lynch trades for Brian Burns. Just saying. Just saying. I expect apologies from a couple of you, but it's fine. It's okay. It's fine. I'm ahead of the curve. I understand. We'll see. We'll see. Randy Gregory, though, he could make it. He could change things. He could change the desperation meter on the 49ers going to get BB. We'll see, though. We'll see. I think they should. Do it. Get him. Get BB. But shout out to all you guys. Appreciate you for tapping in. lot later than normal, but like I said, we will be doing State of the Franchise tomorrow, same time, 1:45 Pacific Standard Time with the Ponte. We just had a kickback a day, so we should be doing it tomorrow. Probably be more of a preview of the Vikings, stuff like that. Well, what if he went to Philly? Philadelphia's looking for a pass rusher. They're looking for a life after Brandon Graham. What if Philly's involved? And no more Jeremy Chin. Did you hear about that? Jeremy Chin looks like he's going to be out for around 6 weeks. 6 weeks. So Jeremy Chin's off the trade radar and all that stuff. I didn't watch Aponte's live, but I could imagine he was furious because of how we lost. I could just imagine it. I like to save. I like to get as much organic Aponte as I can on State of the Franchise, but we'll see. But again, shout out to all you guys for tapping in as always. Appreciate you all for vibing with the channel. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Sub to the channel. Apologies if the ads are acting up, but hopefully they're not too bad. Shout out to everyone who sent a super chat tonight as well. Appreciate you guys. You guys are helping me make my decision even easier to try to go out to Minnesota. So appreciate all you guys. It always is appreciated. You guys are the best. I'm out of here for now. Enjoy your night. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to